And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, hello and welcome to the Weighing In Podcast. We got so much going on. We have been yelling back and forth at each other because we get so into these fights. And there was some great fights tonight on the UFC from Kansas City. All kinds of things going on. My man is in his beanie, sweating underneath it because of all the pressure I'm putting on him. And I'm not coming at you, but bro, you wrestled in high school. That's enough.
Yes, I did. Look at that bad boy. Come at me.
What's
bro.
going on, man?
I was walking around a lacrosse tournament today, and it was pretty awesome, man. Everyone stopped me like, "Dude, I love your shirt. I love your shirt." It's funny. I had so many of the moms too. They're like, "That's such a cool shirt." My husband wrestled in high school. I'm like, "Yeah, sure he did."
You wish he did.
Yeah. Does his ears look like this? They're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, he didn't wrestle in high school then."
Not everyone's ears look like yours.
Or he wasn't that good. You know, he wasn't that good. Oh man. Hey,
okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Seriously, because everyone is different, and it is because there's flexible ears and there's non-flexible ears. When you started getting your cauliflower, was it because you got hit on your ear, or was it because you were pulling your head out and rubbing your ear? Because that's the two ways it really happens.
No, for me it was shooting double legs. I shot a lot of double legs. I didn't have a very good high crotch until I got to college, and then a lot of double legs is with your ear on the outside.
So you were banging your ear.
And so I was banging my ear on the hip, and then turning the corner, guiding that, and then obviously sometimes when you don't get it and it rips off, you know, or you're turning too much and your back of your ear scrapes on the backside of them or their hip.
Would you say that your ears were the flexible kind, or were you just kind of stiff?
I mean, they're stiff
now.
They're stiff now, man. My hairstyle.
I'm not talking about the things that are stiff now.
Yeah,
I'm talking
about a lot of those things right now.
They got many. Let's be honest. They're just not stiff the same.
They're not. They're definitely not stiff the same, man. They're definitely not stiff the same. But at least they still get stiff.
Okay, at least it's still stiff. Even if it's just 85%.
Yeah. All I need, man. Got two babies by the head, right?
Baby.
That's so funny. No, it just it was mainly for me on the double legs. I shot a lot of double legs. So and then I also shot like a lot of like low ankle picks. So when I shot low ankle picks, I'd use the inside of my head against their knee. You know, on my right on that bone on the knee or on the shin kind of area, but mainly on the knee, my ear would hit. So
got it.
Yeah, that's when I got it. And then actually the one I got, did
you used to drain your ears or just let it go after a while?
Well, see, in high school, I literally had no money in high school. Like it was bad. Like my dad was working, fucking 90 hours a week, just to basically pay for my wrestling shoes, shin guards. And I played soccer too. So
hold it. That's why you wrestle, is because you only have to pay for wrestling shoes.
Yeah, it's true. But, but you as much as we were wrestling, my buddy, one of my best friends in high school, his parents had a wrestling room downstairs, and he was the 140 pounder. I was the 135 pounder. So after we'd wrestle at practice, I'd go to his house. His family would feed me, and then I'd wrestle, we'd wrestle some more down there, down in the basement. Then we hit the sauna before bed and just chill. Like it was try to keep our weight down. So I'd go through a pair of shoes and, at least half a season or 3/4 of a season, just holes in the front, just shooting and shooting and shooting. So
that's what tape's for, man.
What's that?
So that's what tape's for. You know that.
Yeah. Duct tape. You work the duct tape. Yeah, but the funny part is this ear here is, if I take this out, this one's all like jacked up. I can barely get my earpiece in, and this one's fitted to my ear, but I can barely get in. This one though, this was I got this one when I fought Hermes Franca. So this one here, I could afford syringes, and I could actually drain it. So this one's obviously a lot smoother. It looks like a real ear when you look at me straight on. Yeah. Or the other one, not so much. It looks like I have a birthing bean or cauliflower, a real cauliflower on my face. Look at that. Look at the thing stick out, So
that was the whole reason for draining my ears, because I knew they would end up going farther and farther out.
Yeah, I just couldn't afford it, and the only ones I could afford were the ones you could buy in the store, which was the diabetic needles.
Yeah,
so those didn't do anything. So actually, for the first couple of times that I had drained it, I just stabbed it a bunch of times and just tried to squeeze the blood out.
It's bad.
Yeah. So that was all I could do. if you went to a doctor, and I didn't know anybody at the time that was a nurse or anything like that, like gave me like a syringe or anything that was a big gauge. You know, you need a bigger gauge, like a 19 or something, to get it all out. So
your 21 works.
yeah. But John, overall though, what did you think of the fights?
Actually, I thought there were some really good fights on this card. I thought there was a couple of matchups that, you know, even though they went to decision, they were super exciting. I thought there was ones that were, you know, went a long ways, and then you had a finish that was fantastic. I thought the Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby fight was fire. I just loved the whole thing. And we talked about that. We thought that fight would be really good just because of the way the matchup was and how good Dalby was as far as being tough and not ever being finished, and that Randy Brown is really coming on. And man, it had everything, because Randy Brown hurt him early. That nose break was nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And it just showed how tough Nicholas Dalby was. And then he comes back and he hurts Randy Brown in the fight. I just loved that fight. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a scrappy fight back and forth, but yeah, definitely a great fight, man. Yeah. Especially like you said, once they started getting into it, we'll get into that fight. But let's go
slobber knocker.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's start from the top, though. We normally like to start from the top.
We do,
and work our way down, especially on the fight nights and the UFC, the ESPN shows and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and start on that. Before we get started, betustv.com. Check them out, man. You know, I was actually kind of leaning towards a little bit. Like I said, I'm not friends with Anthony Smith, but I was like, man, he's at a plus 300 last fight. Let's see how he does. Man, I'm happy I didn't put any money on him, but I also, in my mind, I was like, man, I thought for some reason that he was gonna just do. I thought he was gonna have a little bit better outcome. I was hoping he would. I mean, I did a video.
I was hoping he
on my
would.
Social and stuff, and I'm like, man, just not realizing that how long he's been fighting.
Yeah.
Did you see in that video that they did for him? You could see the changes of his body.
Oh yeah,
you know, and just he had such a small waist, broad shoulders, and you know, and then just the strike force days, you know, all these things. Like just seeing him fight, I'm like, damn man, I can't believe I remember that. Oh shit, I remember that.
Yeah,
like
I remember that. I was there.
I remember that. Oh wow,
yeah.
60 fights later, I remember that. Right, like you know,
that's it.
But man, it's been a pleasure to watch him fight, and definitely I feel like he needed to be paid homage to, and I felt the need like today, because you know I think what it was though too is realizing that he has his fight, you know, tonight being his fight where he understood he was retiring, and then Dustin Poirier also just announcing like, hey, this is for sure my last dance.
Yeah, those
type of things, like the mental preparation is okay. Look, I've already agreed to myself in my mind that this is it.
Yeah,
and just seeing that, wondering how, you know, and wondering how much that's going to affect them in their ability to, like, I'm going to train a little bit harder. I'm going to do a couple more rounds. You know, there's the stress is relieved. Like, I know that no matter what happens, I've done everything I possibly could. I'm going to enjoy this moment. It could work both ways. It could be like you fight carefree, but then also work against you, or because you don't fight with that level of intenseness, or for some fighters, like for myself, when I felt like I could just flow and smile and have a good time, man, those were my best performances. And so I felt that coming in when I was watching him make the walk and everything like that. But then when he got in the cage and they were talking about it, it switched. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that.
But you had to know. Serious. Like the UFC does this all the time. And it's nothing against, it's just the way promotions work. Mm-hmm. And you know this, and you've seen not only yourself have these situations, but your fellow training partners have these situations and everything. And, you know, there's all kinds of things to talk about off of this show, but, you know, a promotion is paying someone like Anthony Smith pretty well. Anthony's worked his way into the point where he's making good money. And he even said that after, you know, the fight and everything. You know, they changed his life. You know, he was, you know, never had anything, you know, but he was able to raise his family based upon his fighting career. And that really was, you know, a lot of it at the end with the UFC, and, you know, they treated him well. And the promotion does, you know, when you're doing well and you're getting up to the point of fighting for world titles or, you know, number one contender things, which he did in all those, you know, they take care of you, but the matchmakers are always heartless. And when I say heartless, I say that they're the ones that are responsible for a lot of, okay, we're paying so-and-so this, we're matching up against here. all these numbers and everything. It's not just the matchups. It's also the money that goes out for those matchups. And they look and they look at someone like Anthony Smith and they say, look, I can't give you, an easy opponent because you're making too much. I've got to give you a real person, because if you win this fight, yeah, you're saying you're going to retire, but yeah, you'll win the fight. And the next thing I'm going to get is a phone call saying, hey man, you know what? I'd really like to do one more. And so now I'm going to have to pay you again if I give you the one more. And so I got to give you a real fighter. If you can beat the real fighter, then you can beat the real fighter. But I'm either going to, I'm going to get something either way. I'm either going to get you, you're going to, get your win, and then you're going to, either call me or not, or I'm going to have someone that I think is a rising star, and I'm going to have them, have a fight against you so that I can have highlights off of, and I can use everything that you've done throughout your career to say, this guy beat him. And it's the reality of fighting, and it's not pretty and it's not nice, but it's just the truth.
Yeah, I mean, the promotion goes on. No one's bigger than the sport.
No.
And so when you hear fighters, and I guess we could go into this conversation too. If I was to take it another way, that just happened recently was Shedeur Sanders. Basically thought he was going to be bigger than the sport. I'm going to come in, I'm going to dictate to what I want, and to the managers and to the coaches, and you guys pretty much need me, and it backfired. And it maybe had something to do with his dad. I'm not sure. But in the scenario that this was, like, you cannot walk into a room and basically say, how, I'm going to change your guys' clubhouse and this and that. We really kind of don't want that. We kind of want to keep, these. I think ultimately at the end of the day, you have to remember that in Shedeur's world is that you have grown men on a team sport that are trying to feed their families, and
it's a deal with business.
1-year-old, yeah. They're like, look at, especially in what's considered to be probably the most prestigious position in all sports, is the quarterback.
Yes, and if you are the supposed leader of that business, you got to be in line with the way they want to run that business.
Yeah, you need to be mature enough to be in line. But you know what's funny though, John, is that the Jay Glazer situation, he sent me, or not sent me, but I saw him on his Instagram. He said, there was 3 boxes that 2 boxes that NFL teams used to have, like take him and then cut him and reasons why, but they had them listed, and there was just 2 boxes that were checked there. The 3rd box they just added this year that he had never seen before ever in the draft was the kid doesn't like football. So these guys are just playing for the money, which is crazy that you would ever hear a 3rd box being added to that. But in all these interview boxes, in all these interviews that they did with college players now, is that they basically openly admitted they don't like football. It just pays them a lot of money.
That's funny. My wife asked me about the whole Shedeur Sanders thing today. And she says, what's going on with this kid and stuff? And, why? Why is it, this big on the news here and stuff? So I explained the whole thing about, look, this is where he's played. He's played for his dad the whole time. Go through the whole thing. And I said, the problem is he's not looking at this as, not only is he part of their business, he's basically part of running their business because he's steering that ship.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't steer it in the right direction, they all go down. Yeah. And I said, man, it's a tough thing, because he's that position that they have to have certain things. And if they're not seeing it, I said, the whole thing is going to come down to this. They are looking at a guy that they know is physically talented, but if he doesn't meet the criteria psychologically, educationally, the way that they think that he needs to, leadership wise, I go, they're going to sit there and say, well, we're not going to take him. And they're not going to take him in the 1st round. They won't take him in the 2nd. I said, they may get back to the point where they'll take him in the 5th round, 6th round, because they can sit there and lose a 5th or 6th round pick, and it doesn't affect their whole team. I go, that 1st and 2nd round, they're not going to mess around with you if they think there's any doubt about what could happen with you. And if they're going to need to get rid of you, they're going to let you go down in the draft. And if you're available in those 5th and 6th rounds, then they'll take you there. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, those first 2 rounds are just too valuable to take a chance on.
That's it.
Some may do it based off like if someone was injured, but how did they get injured? What was their play like before they got injured? What kind of person were they before they got injured? They'll be willing to take chances on players like that, but not ones that have character issues. And he may not be a bad character. I don't think he is.
I don't think he's a bad person. Yeah.
No, I don't think so either. I just think that the NIL deals have really kind of got these college kids believing that they're way more than they are.
Man.
And not by a little bit. I mean, this kid that just left University of Tennessee back in your neck of the woods, that kid leaves, goes to UCLA. I mean, he lost basically $750,000.
Yeah,
going to UCLA, and part
of that whole deal was, University of Tennessee and their coach Josh Heupel, they got a call because they had no idea that kid was being shopped around by his parents, along with the kid. And so that all ended up, oh, really? And it's like, you think you're smart. You haven't been in it long enough to be smarter than the people that have been there a while.
And they all talk. That's the thing.
God, yeah, that's it. It's like I say it with athletic commissions. All these, fighters, trainers, they get mad and they'll say something. I said, don't. Trust me, you sit there and say it about the one, they're going to be going to every other one and saying, hey, this guy, don't license him. Don't do this. Don't do that. You can't do it. It's not, don't sit there and complain about it when it happens, because that they're all connected. They all talk. And if you're a problem, if you're a pain in the ass, they're going to make sure that you're not a pain in the ass for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't say one thing without saying about another. I don't know. Someone's word gets around.
It does.
They're all connected. They all know each other. And you can't do it. Nothing fucks up a good deal like parents and an agent.
Remember Reggie Bush?
Oh yeah.
Look at what happened with Reggie Bush. And all of that was because of Reggie? Nope. It's because of parents.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks. We see it all the time. Remember Dominique Mucciano, right?
Oh yeah.
She made $22 million or something like that from the Olympics, from when they won the Olympic gold medal, I think in 96 is what it was. And literally her family just squandered all of her money while she was still
fell apart.
Yeah, she basically, I think when she was 14, almost about to be 15 or turning 15. She was really young. Yeah. And
she got emancipated.
Yeah, she got emancipated, I think, right when she was 17, because they were burning through her money so fast.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Just crazy. And then charging her for, your room costs us this much. So I'm like, what the fuck? Well. All right, hey, let's get back into the fighting world.
Please.
Yeah, let's get back into the fighting world. Best of luck to Anthony Smith in his next chapter. I was hoping you'd come out on top tonight, but unfortunately, no. But hey, still, regardless, it's been a pleasure, man, watching you your whole career. And I want to wish you nothing but the best in the next chapter. And moving on to the next one. So Ian, Garry, Carlos, Prates. John, how did you have first off, let me start off. How did you have the fight scored?
I had it scored 49-46.
49-46. Okay.
Yeah, Machado, Garry, yeah.
Okay.
Look, it all comes down to, you can win off of multiple ways on the judges' scorecards. Okay. The easiest way to win is damage, heavy blows, knockdowns. That's what they're looking for. Okay. When you're looking at that, there were some heavy blows that we saw from both, but both hid, the effect. I'm going to tell you, at the 4-minute mark of the first round, Prates hit Machado, Garry, with one of the only shots he hit him with in the first round. But it was a telling blow because it made Machado, Garry go, oh shit, he's got power. That hurt. You could see it. You could see it in his actions. You could see it, how he changed with what he was doing. And he really started getting on his bike and moving and doing all kinds of things that showed that I'm not going to be a target for you. I'm going to sit here and just continue to frustrate you with movement. And when I have the opportunity, I'm going to land my combination. I'm going to land my kicks. I'm going to get out. I'm going to then try for a takedown, see if I can make that work. If not, I'm going to exit off of it, try to leave you with something. And that's really how he fought the fight. And if you're going to take a look, Ian Machado, Garry, for the most part of that fight, all except for the 5th round, fought a beautiful fight as far as being smart. Mm-hmm. He fought a fight that showed that, intelligence-wise, he's very intelligent on understanding where he needs to go, what he needs to do to, be the better fighter throughout the round. Prates did not throw enough. Let's just be honest. First round, he's following. He's just not throwing. He's blocking kicks, but you've got to have some kind of, attack that is making this person have to deal with your offense, because just off of volume, Machado Garry is winning the round. That means that he's throwing more, landing more, and you're not throwing enough to even get close to that. Even if your shots are heavy, they're not doing enough damage for them to overcome the volume of Machado Garry. So overall, I had the fight, I had Prates losing the first 4 rounds. One was close, but the 5th round was obviously his, and that's the one that he was doing what?
Yeah,
being offensive. He's going after him. What are you doing? Why are you not doing that the whole fight?
Yeah.
I'm okay with you feeling out the first round. I'm all about, hey, see what he's like. Test things out. Look for your tells and all those things. Okay. If you're going to give away the first round, so you give away the first round. But then the second round, you got to start saying, okay, this is what I got to start doing. And he never upped it really until, 4th round, he started to up it. 5th round, definitely upped it, but too late.
Yeah. How close would you have been to giving that 5th round a 10-8 round?
He wasn't able to do enough damage because the damage would have had to been great, because he dominated only a small section of the round. Mm-hmm. Okay. The round he was winning, I thought he was winning it basically from the start. There was, the first minute kind of even, and then he starts winning the round, but he's just winning the round, where we call it's marginal. And it's a marginal round as far as, he's up, but it's by a slim margin. Then he starts to take it over. And by the end, he's starting to really dominate. But it wasn't what we call domination with a duration of time. Mm-hmm. It was a short amount of time and Garry looked like he's in trouble, and he did some damage to him, but it wasn't enough to give it the 10-8. Hmm. I would go, it's one of those, like it's 10-8-5. But so then it's a 10-9. Hmm. Did you have a 10-8?
No, but I was wondering how close you would have thought it would have been.
It's not like that's, the easiest way I can say it is, he was getting there.
Yeah.
But he needed some more. And it could have been just one shot could have made the difference in that possibly getting there, because now he's not only, in that position of he's starting to be dominant. The damage is so dramatic that now you're going to say, okay, I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah. I was leaning towards 10-8, but I was like, he didn't really drop him. He didn't really.
No, that's the whole point.
Yeah, he didn't drop him. He didn't he had him fishing for ankles. It's just a really bad look.
Yeah.
You know Absolutely. What I mean? I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? Like, he was hurt. You could tell he was hurt at moments from the hammer fist and things like that. But like you said, for me, the other thing too was the duration of it was not long enough. I think it was like the last, 30 seconds or so. Yep. 45 seconds. It just wasn't long enough. It's in a 5-round fight, it's got to be longer. But to go back to Ian Garry, though, to me, beautifully done.
The kid can fight.
He can fight. You know what gives people problems, though, is it's the speed.
Yeah.
He's faster than
and his movement. He's elusive.
Yeah. The movement is very important, but that also makes it even more difficult when he's as fast as he is. Yeah. And you can tell with his kicks, he's got a little pop behind him. So when they land, they actually knock you off balance a little bit. They make you, okay, I can't counter really off of this when you land that head kick. Yeah.
You have to block it with both.
Yeah, it throws you off. And so the response is not there. If I do throw, I'm going to be out of position, and he can maybe possibly counter. So there's a lot going on there that people maybe with the not blind eye, but just someone with the untrained eye just won't see. And just seeing the fact, like every time he threw the kick, even when Prates blocked it, it still kind of threw him off balance a little bit, and he wasn't able to counter clean. And you can see why. Even if he did, he's like, I don't want to leave myself out of position to get countered again. Overall, but man, I thought Ian Garry looked good. The movement was there, but also too with Prates, it was if you would have went earlier, in just spurts, not even a lot.
Yeah.
Made him shoot more often. He would have been a lot more tired, like down the stretch, and he would have had more success.
Yeah.
But the lesson that I learned by watching Prates is, man, like you should probably stop smoking. Like you were so close.
I was really impressed. I got to tell you, because I was like, getting into the third and then fourth round, I was like, okay, is he going to die? Man, for a guy that smokes, he was doing very well.
I mean, John, I'm like, man, if you quit smoking, you'd have a little bit more output. I don't know.
I agree with you.
Just different ways of looking at it, right? Like, I mean, he looked like he had the cardio, but he was exhausted in the fifth, obviously trying to get him out of there. But all he had to do, all he had to do was just a little bit more. Just a tiny, like, I think they put up the stats in terms of how much he landed. It was like 4, 4, and 6, I think, strikes per round.
Yeah.
Like rounds 1 through 4,
point.
I think he landed like 6 or 8 strikes in each round. That's not going to win any fight.
Not unless those shots are knocking someone on their ass.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I couldn't figure out what he was doing and why. And only thing I could come up with is I came to the conclusion that the speed was really throwing him off. And I think also too, a lot of people that fight Ian Garry, they look at him like almost like a Colby Covington. They really don't want to lose to him. With Ian, like with Colby Covington, you don't have to worry about getting knocked out. He had no power, he had no stand up, and you didn't ever worry about that. What you had to worry about though was Ian Garry will knock you the fuck out. And so people just don't like fighters that fight him because he talks so much. They do not want to lose to him, so they fight a little bit more conservative than they would normally fight. That's the only thing I could come up with outside of the speed of Ian Garry, the movement, the lateral movement, all those things. If you're Prates, I mean, you've got to be kicking yourself in the ass. I mean, whether it's because you didn't have the cardio to push a little bit harder and because you smoke, or you just were real gun shy because either the speed was throwing you off or you just gave him too much respect. One of the two, but no matter what you do, you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and go back and watch the fight or, the next day or whatever it is and be like, damn, I could have done this. I could have done that. It's one of those fights you're going to kick yourself in the ass.
Absolutely. It's one of the things, and you got to give it to Ian Garry, is that his movement is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And if you've ever fought someone that moves a lot and you're trying to chase them down, you're trying to cut the ring off or cut the cage off, and it's frustrating because you can never get yourself in that position where you feel like I can land a clean shot. I'm lined up. You always feel a little bit off because as soon as you get close and okay, I'm ready, they're moving. And it's a frustrating feeling. And it's not that he's had so many fights. I'm sure he's had to face someone that was elusive before, but I think him being that elusive and then the speed of when he is attacking, it did cause him some problems.
Yeah, I would agree. Overall, though, I was expecting more out of the fight itself, but I also took into consideration that, like you said, Ian Garry's a smart fighter. Yeah. He was going to wrestle a little bit. I thought he was going to have more success getting the takedowns. Did not. Prates has a very good takedown defense, especially when he kept going to the singles. I was like, why don't you change to the doubles? He's got you figured out in the single legs. When he did change to the doubles, he had a little bit more success, but even still had a hard time holding him down.
Yeah.
Couldn't get him down. Like Prates did a really good job of getting back up to his feet. Overall, though, I mean, it was a good fight. It was entertaining, especially the way it ended. So, and most people, like myself too, I only remember the endings. It's like that was the most exciting part.
It made it exciting. And so that's good.
Like we've talked about this all the time where the whole fight card could be shitty, but if the main event's good, people forget about the rest of the card.
Yeah. It was a great night.
Yeah. It was awesome. Did you guys forget the other 14 fights that sucked? But no, you just, man, what a great fight. That's all.
But it's also in reverse. You could have 14 great fights and the main event is a terrible snoozer and everyone goes, it sucked. Yeah, everything sucked.
They'll sometimes try to dig one out of there. So-and-so's fight was good though. That was, at least we got that fight. But people, I don't know if people remember the card that Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner fought on.
Yeah.
Any other fights on that card you guys remember?
Oh, I remember them all, but none of them were good.
Yeah. That's what my point was. I'm like, that fight, like none of them were good.
No, there was a whole lot of things that happened. I mean, do you remember the Nate Quarry fight in that one?
No.
Okay, go back and watch. Nate Quarry was against Pete Sell.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, the referee was Cecil Peoples, and he made a mistake in stopping it too early, but he was on top. Pete Sell's on the bottom, Nate Quarry's on top of him, and the referee is on top of the back of Nate Quarry telling him it's over. And you go, oh, this looks horrible.
Oh.
It did not look good. It was not a good moment. And, these are the things that happened that no one recalls because there was that one fight.
That one fight.
And no one even remembers what the damn main event was on that because that was the co-main.
Rich, right?
Yeah, Ken Shamrock and
Rich Franklin. Yeah, everyone just assumes that was the main event.
Yeah,
I mean it pretty much was. Yeah. It pretty much was. Well, oh man, I mean, yeah, the Ken Flo fight with what's his name? It cut across the nose, right?
Yeah, he just took him down, beat on him. Then half of the round, that was it.
Didn't he hit him with the elbow on the feet?
Who?
Ken Flo cut somebody right across Alexis.
No. Ken Flo fought Diego Sanchez.
Gosh, when did he fight again? He fought somebody in Alex Alexis. He cut him with that elbow right across the front of his nose.
That wasn't that night.
That wasn't okay. Another night. Yeah. Gee, see, that's my point. Yeah. I just proved my own point. All right, John, let's go ahead and go Anthony Smith versus Zhang.
This was exactly, when you looked at it, it was, hey, Anthony Smith has had a hell of a career. But when you're taking a look at a guy who has fought that many fights, 60 fights, basically, and you're that age now, and now you're going against the younger guy who is the up-and-comer, the odds are against you, and this is nothing against Anthony Smith. Has had a hell of a career and has had some big wins against some great competitors. But we say it all the time. Father Time is undefeated, and you can sit there and say, well, Father Time kind of helped Alexander Volkanovski in his last fight. Again, he did good, but you could see even in Volkanovski and his win against Diego Lopez, there was signs of he's changing as a fighter. Mm-hmm. He's not the same guy. He's not the guy who beat Max Holloway the first time. He's not the guy that just beat down Chad Mendez. He's not that guy anymore. He has to fight differently. Well, it's the same for Anthony Smith in this situation. And going against Zhang, you're looking and going, it's going to be a hard fight for him to win. He's got to get the fight to the ground. And he tried. That elbow that landed was one of those slicing elbows. Mm-hmm. But right away, as soon as you saw him get cut and then you saw him wipe at his eye once, that's okay. When he wiped it a second time, you went, he's got problems.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I'm nothing against him. When you have blood in your eye, it's gooey. It's a film, and it's tough to see through that film. You get this little red haze and everything, and mm-hmm. Once you can't see in a fight, odds are working against you big time, and everything just kind of fell down from that point. And again, he's facing a young, strong, fast, and heavy-hitting opponent, and he just he's not fast enough at this point in his career to be able to deal with it. It's just what it is. I look at it and I say, Anthony Smith, you had a hell of a career. Mm-hmm. You came from being a guy that was only a kickboxer that was getting beat by people to being a hell of a grappler, to being a hell of a mixed martial artist, to having a hell of a career, to being, I guess, as Chael said, one word away from being a world champion. And God bless you for not saying that word. And that shows everything about your character as a person. You've been fantastic. You've done things that I've always been proud of you for doing. You took care of your family in situations in your home. You know what? You're a great representative for what a mixed martial artist should be. And you've had a hell of a career. Congratulations on that career. I thought the UFC did a great job with the compilation that they put together. It looked good. Brought a tear to my eye watching him from all the Strike Force things and everything that he came from. It was great. So
watching his coaches get so emotional after his wins, like you see the responses. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool. Look, I mean, I didn't realize, John, think about this. I've been retired for 5 years, almost. I think going on 6 or whatever it is.
More than that, yeah.
Dude, he's 36.
Yeah.
I thought he was like, not saying that it, but I'm just saying he's been fighting for so damn long. I thought he was like closer to 40.
Yeah.
I know, like he still looks good, like, you know, but I just in my mind, I'm like, man, you got that many fights and you're retiring. I didn't even think about his age until they said he's 36. I'm like, what? I thought he was like 39, 40, 41, somewhere in there. I'm like, okay, it makes like Glover, right? 41. We were retiring when he's 41, 42, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking, and normally at the heavier weight classes, they go until they're 38, 39, 40, 41.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like lighter guys they're not able to do that because of the speed. But man, think 60 fights and he's only 36. That's crazy. That's crazy. But overall, I think Zhang had a good fight. He had a good performance. The kicks right off the bat were definitely started shaping how the fight was going to go. Then the blood and the cut, and like you said, the wiping of it. And when you guys realize that when you wipe it, it doesn't do anything. It just
you're trying
the puddled up part out of your eye.
Yeah.
You know, but you still have blood in your eye, but you get the puddled up part like that's kind of hanging around your eyelid and stuff. That goes away. So it's like having water, except it's a little bit thicker and gooier there, you know? It's a very crap situation. So when you do wipe it the first time, it actually just makes it like more of a red haze. Like John was saying, you get like a halo around your eyeball of just red. So it makes it even more difficult. Yeah, it sucks that he went out that way, but you know what? He's been a long career, and you know, the UFC likes him, so he'll continue to probably do some work at the desk, and he does
a good job at that.
He does a great job at the desk, and yeah, man. David Onama versus Giga Chikadze.
Well, I thought it was a hell of a fight, and I'm going to be honest. I give David Onama I mean, you and I have both had high praises for Onama throughout his time in the UFC and what he's done, but you know, his ability to stay with the pressure in the stand-up that got him the takedowns, man, I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed because look, Giga Chikadze in the stand-up is slick. Mm-hmm. His kicks come from odd angles. They're quick. His hands, he throws good combinations. I first, you know, saw Giga when he was fighting in Glory in kickboxing, and that's all he was doing. But it was like, hey, this guy is technically really sharp.
Yeah.
And Onama did a great job with taking some big shots. He got hurt in there, but when he got hit with that first one, and you know, he lost the first round based upon he got hurt in that round, but he was able to at least protect himself by getting the clinch, you know, and getting, you know, the fight to the point where he could bring some time to get himself back. And then the second and third round, you know, he did exactly what he needed to do to win the fight. And he's showing a progression. He's now going to be, you know, with a number next to his name, he's going to be ranked. He deserves it. And he's that guy you can look at in the featherweight division and you go, people are going to have to look out. He's a problem because he is physically gifted. He's fast.
Yeah, and not only that, he's very slick on the feet, but then to his body style is going to be problems for a lot of those fights.
His ground game, look, I thought at one point he was going to lose that position when he got way too high. I mean, way too high. And he was able to suck himself back, and you look and you go, all right, that's just wrong that you were able to get back the way he did. He is physically very talented.
Yeah, John, if you look at that whole weight class now, as some of these guys start to make their way out, right? Max making his way out, Brian Ortega making his way out, obviously Ilya out, but then you've got guys like Lerone Murphy, Jean Silva,
fast,
you know, Diego Lopez,
fast.
You've got Yair Rodriguez, I mean Arnold Allen and Evloev. Like Evloev is the only one that's kind of considered to be the wrestler outside of Aljamain Sterling. Like those two guys, then the rest of it's all stand-up guys. Calvin Kattar, Dan Ige, Zalal, Giga Chikadze, John Silva, Josh Emmett, former wrestler, but mainly boxer.
Yeah, but he's a stand-up guy now. You're right.
Sterling is the grappler. Lerone Murphy, Brian Ortega, mainly grappling, but still decides to stand a lot.
Brian Ortega's out.
Yeah, he's going to be out. But I'm saying like mainly likes to stand regardless. And then you have Arnold Allen. You know, everyone there, Yair Rodriguez, Ilya Tapora is gone, Max Holloway gone, like, you know, Volk being there, Volk can do it all. But that division is shaping up to be all really good kickboxers.
Yeah.
So we're going to end up seeing some really good stand-up battles, I think, coming up in this next, 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Coming from the 145-pound division.
There's any matchup you're going in the featherweight division, you got to look and go, that'll be a great fight. That'll be a great fight.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that guys like Diego, he's been standing a lot lately. He's going to have to get back to his grappling, because these guys are
the things coming off of a loss. You've got to look and say, all right, where's my problem? I'm going to talk about, one of these, next, because, we talk about it all the time. When you have, a certain gift and a certain talent and people are worried about it, and they tend to give you room because they don't want to be exposed by that talent. And then some guy comes along and he figures out, okay, here's your weakness. And he shows it. And so now the blueprint is now there for everyone to copy. And then people start copying it and they start having success against you.
Yeah.
And, the fight, Abus Magomedov against, Michel Pereira. Take a look at that. Michel Pereira has been exposed as put him on his back foot, make him go backwards, and he's not the same fighter. And that's what Abus Magomedov did. You could take a look at Fluffy was his fight before, and what did Fluffy do? He put him on his back foot. Even, though he's not as good in the stand-up, you can take a look. He doesn't have the same power. He doesn't have the same speed. He doesn't have the same technique. But he put him on his back foot and created nothing but problems for him. And that's exactly what Magomedov did. And we knew that both guys get tired. Mm-hmm. We talked about that. Both did. But Magomedov was the one that ended up doing damage. He hurt Mikhail many times in the fight, quite a few times, and it had an effect.
Yeah, I was expecting this fight to be a lot better. I thought that Pereira would go ahead and push forward more. I thought he'd make him fight an uncomfortable fight, knowing that, hey, all I got to do is avoid getting knocked out in the first round. If I can go ahead and put some more stank on him in the second and the third, I might be able to get away from this. But then when you have two guys that are known to fatigue out, I mean, Pereira was probably thinking to myself, man, if I do too much, I'm going to get tired as well. His conditioning has gotten better at 185. And I never realized how big he was for 170.
Huge.
It's enormous, man.
Yeah.
Enormous. So when I see him in there with Abus and Magomedov, I'm thinking to myself, man, you're bigger than him. What the fuck? Jaw, this kid's big. Anyways, overall, though, I expected more out of the fight. And it just left me wanting more because I knew that Abus could have done more in the first. He had some great combinations throughout the fight in the first round, had some good work in the second, but he won the first two rounds handily. I thought he pretty much dominated the fight.
He did.
Yeah.
If you go back and I think it was his second fight because his opponent fell out. They were fighting, I want to say in either Calgary or Edmonton. His opponent fell out and he ended up fighting at 170 pounds. He fought Tristan Connolly, who is a fighter from Canada, is a very good grappler, but Tristan's a 145 pounder. And that fight was when you saw, Pereira was doing the backflips and doing all this stuff. And he ended up losing that fight to a 145 pounder because he got exhausted from the stupid maneuvers that he was doing. And you looked and you said, first off, how is that guy making 170 pounds? Because he's huge. He made Tristan look like he was, it was like a man against a boy.
Like he was fighting Hezbollah.
Oh my, that's it. Yeah. But I mean, he has that thing about, he does gas in fights, even at 185 pounds. Look at this one. I can say he gassed because not only was it the tempo of the fight, he was taking big shots.
Yeah. And
when you're taking big shots, that's going to take the gas out of you. And so I don't blame him for that, but I do now have to look and say, hey, you have been exposed. Okay. You have now 2 losses in a row. That blueprint is no different than when Fedor fought Mirko Krokop. Mirko was, as we would say, murking everybody, right? And then Fedor showed, here's the blueprint on how to beat him. And then everyone started beating him.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's now in, on Michelle or his coaches. You gotta figure this out and fix it, because until you fix it, the same thing is going to be happening. Guys are going to be coming at you the same way, and if you don't fix that problem, it's going to continue to be a problem.
Yeah, I think now that he's got the weight on at 185, unless he wants to go up to 205, but I think now that he's got the weight on at 185, I think it's more of a conditioning issue. It's not as much of the weight cut issue, and unless I'm not seeing something. I mean, he could very well make 205.
It's got a big enough frame.
Yeah. I mean, I saw tonight, he definitely got a big enough frame.
Yeah.
But then you look at those guys like Dominic Reyes, and you're like, okay, maybe you're big. But
That's true.
You know, so if he wants to stay where he's at, he's going to have to work on his sprint cardio, his recovery cardio. It's one thing to be in fight shape. It's another thing to be like on that next level where you need to be to get to the top 5, top 10, you know, in your weight class.
Yep.
You know, I thought the Randy Brown, Nicholas Dalby fight, man, probably was one of the best fights of the night.
Oh, absolutely the best fight of the night.
You thought best fight of the night?
Yeah, had to be. And because you're taking a look and going, all right, Dalby ended up having his nose plastered, you know, halfway across his face in the first round, you know, and made it through the round. Obviously, Randy Brown wins that round, you know, but kept fighting hard, had moments where he was doing good in it, and you know, ended up going to his corner. The cut man pushes it back, which does not feel good for anybody out there. So straightens out his nose to hopefully make it to where he can get a little bit of air so he's not just breathing through his mouth. And then he goes out, he hurts Randy. He has Randy in trouble. Randy comes back, hurts him, and then gets the big knockout with the right hand against a guy who had never been finished in a fight. And I mean, it was one of those ones, all right, we're gonna do this, and one of us is gonna fall. And on this one, it was Nicholas Dalby that fell. And Randy Brown can be very proud of the fight that he put on, because he showed fucking a lot of heart, warrior spirit, all that stuff. And he's getting better, you know, and that's the real thing you're looking for. I'm looking for the little moments that in time when he used to start to have a problem, now he's stepping up and going after his opponent. And I thought it was a fantastic win for him. I thought it was a fantastic fight for the both of them. Mm-hmm. Entertaining as hell. Big win for Randy Brown.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic win. The way that all shook out too, like you were saying, like the back and forth battle, like the UFC loves shit like that. Oh, you know, if I'm a promoter, I'm thinking to myself,
sells.
That exactly, that sells. Like his fight with Brian Battle, like it was a good fight back and forth, but it left you, it left that taste in your mouth, like you could have done more.
Yeah,
and you didn't.
But he did in this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's why I say you look and you go, he's getting better, because there was the moments in the Brian Battle fight, like you're talking about, that he backed off instead of saying, you know what? No, one of us is going to win this and one of us is going down. We'll see who it is. And in this one, he just bit down his mouth. He said, nope, I'm not going to back down.
And Dalby, man, he's a tough SOB. I loved when he actually started slinging. And I know it led up to him getting knocked out at the end, but he saw something in that transition where he got clipped with something. He clipped Randy Brown with something. He said, okay, I'm going to keep going forward.
Nope.
And just wrong instinct.
He never saw the right hand.
Wrong instinct right
Never saw the right hand.
But as a fan, I can admire that.
Oh, God, yeah. He's a Viking, dude.
Yeah.
He's a pure Viking, man. He's awesome.
But I thought that Randy Brown's body style is going to be just a problem for a lot of people. You know, in the welterweight division, he's so big.
Yeah.
So big. So, you know, just long and lanky and skillful, and he's going to be a problem. You just got to fine tune a couple little things, not change too much, just fine tune them, and, you know, and come in with, you know, the confidence you need to get through those top level guys. Aliskerov versus Muniz.
Man, I'll tell you what, I thought Aliskerov just looked good in this fight. He made a really nice recovery from a fight that he didn't do well in against Robert Whittaker. And he just took over in this fight. And you could see right away him going to the body, the shots that he was landing to the body, the kicks that he was landing to the body. That front push kick was money in this. And it caused Muniz nothing but problems from the very start. When he started using it, it was absolutely a problem for Muniz that he had no answer for. because he would do that front push kick. He would land the ball of his foot, the toes, right into the solar plex, and then he would follow it up with a punch.
Yeah.
And Muniz was getting hit by all of it. And you could see he just started backing off immediately and was absolutely, and I'm not saying you've been there, but I've been there when you're in a cage with someone and they're hitting you with shots, you go, I can't stop that. And that's what was happening to him. And he was like, you could see it. It was like, it was over after 30 seconds. I said, this fight's going to be over. I really felt that just looking at it. It was like easy to see that. Ikram was just in control, and everything he was doing was right, and everything that Muniz was doing just didn't work.
Yeah, the shot that landed didn't look like it landed very difficult, like very hard.
Oh, it did, but it landed clean.
It landed clean, right on the button on the chin, like he hit him like right around the guard, and it was beautifully done. Then just followed up and just good finish. Yeah. Good finish. I mean, like I didn't take much away, like as much as you did from that fight. I just saw that Aliskerov was just kind of like picking and choosing his shots, was able to do whatever he wanted, and I was expecting Muniz to do something more, like to make some adjustments, go ahead and throw like a big shot, try to get a takedown, something like at least get to the clinch.
Yeah,
and just had no answer. Just kind of seemed like he froze up a little bit.
It was funny because the commentary crew didn't see. I saw it as soon as the left hook landed. You could see him go against the cage and just like his knees started buckling. And I go, oh, he's in trouble, right? And then he finishes him off. They stop the fight, but then the commentary crew says, what hurt him? And it was like, what hurt him? The left hook.
Yeah,
you could see his knees just go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they thought maybe he hurt his knee or something. I think, John, you know as well as I. It could be from whatever angle you're at. No, absolutely, like from the judges.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
It's not as bad as like
you can't see everything. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, but sometimes
they saw it on the replay.
Well, apparently sometimes you can't hear the clapper either. We'll get into that later. Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. Sorry.
Well, this is one of those clapper ones.
We'll talk about the clappers. Look, there was some rules and stuff and some like the clapper situation, stoppages. We're going to talk about that right after we wrap up the card. We'll get into those conversations afterwards. So if you guys, I know I got hit up already like 4 or 5 times in my DMs asking about, hey, are you guys going to talk about, the clapper situation?
No, we're not.
And you're going to talk about, the early stoppage or whatever it was. So we're going to get into that. All right.
I thought,
let's go Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick.
I thought it was nice seeing Matt Schnell back because, he did retire off of his last fight and then decided, no, I'm going to come back. Jimmy Flick is always tough as hell, great grappler. But I thought Matt Schnell really fought a good fight in this because he showed that he can fight everywhere. And as, when we talk about lighter weights, and we say it all the time, look, if you're a 125-pounder, fighting in the UFC, that means you're good everywhere. Doesn't mean that, someone can't be better in a specific area. But your stand-up's got to be good. Your wrestling's got to be good. Your ground game's got to be good because you cannot be in those weight classes without being well-rounded. You can kind of get, away with not being well-rounded up in the upper, especially just because of power. But down in the 125, 135, you got to be good everywhere. And Matt Schnell is good everywhere. Jimmy Flick is really good on the ground. His stand-up is okay, but his ground game is really good. And I thought Matt Schnell really put on a great performance here because he could have given it up. There's those moments when a fighter and you can see it. They just give it up. And Matt Schnell had those moments where you could see he's feeling it. And he always worked his way out of stuff, and he kept fighting. Yeah. And he started being offensive even on the ground. And I think he got a confidence that, hey, I can stay with this guy on the ground, and really took over in the fight and had a really good performance. I thought he definitely deserved the win, and it was an impressive win.
Yeah, I thought it was a very impressive win. I think it took a second for him to figure him out, but
yep.
Once he got back into the groove of things, I think he had a very great and very impressive performance. Control the top position, control the bottom. He was attacking the neck. He was doing everything right. Putting the pressure. He did everything right. Even on the feet, he didn't look outclassed. Like he was doing everything right. Did a great job.
Yeah.
So when you announce your retirement and you come back or whatever, you come in and have a good performance. I don't even consider you retired. It's just you took a vacation. You came back. You're back. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Evan Elder versus Young.
Well, I thought Evan Elder looked really good in this. And I mean, this is one of those ones. This was a 30-27 on all three of the judges' scorecards. And you look at that and you go, oh, it was not a close fight. It was a close fight. It was a very
Did you think so?
Fight.
Really?
Yeah. Well, when I say close fight, Gage Young was in the fight the whole time.
Yes.
No doubt he was in the fight, and he had moments where you could look and say, hey, he's doing damage there. That's affecting Elder. But Elder really, he had a couple of great combinations in this, and his kicks were hard. They were fast. They did damage. I thought they were the difference maker in the whole thing. And, it was funny because Laura was talking about, it happens every time, you know this, because you start talking about someone that and she knows Gage Young, and she knows how good his stand-up is, and she's talking about how good his stand-up is just at the time that Evan Elder smacks the shit out of him with a combination that hurts him, kind of puts him back, right? And you look and you go, yep, talking about the wrong guy. That's exactly what I always do. But it was like, I thought it was a really good fight. I thought, Evan Elder definitely won it, but I thought it was a very well contested fight by both.
Yeah, I thought Elder looked fantastic in the first round. He was doing anything he wanted to do. Young couldn't get Elder's respect at all whatsoever. But as the fight went on, Young was having more success. And I think in the first round, it was a runaway round by Elder. But in the second and the third, it started to become a closer fight.
Yeah.
I can understand where you're saying like it was a close fight. It wasn't a runaway fight.
Yeah.
But I felt like Elder just looked like he was slowing down. He looked like he didn't have the pop. He also just didn't have as much output. So then that's when Young didn't have to respect him as much.
I agree.
So it was a good fight, but I would agree that 30-27
was the right score.
Yeah. But in the second and third round of the rounds that you're talking about, where it was closer,
it got much closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gutierrez versus Castaneda.
This is a close fight. This one really kind of surprised me a little bit because, I thought that the wrestling of Castaneda would give Chris problems if he was kicking. He started to kick, and then he kind of stopped, and then he started in again. So, Chris Gutierrez just needs to be who he is. I mean, if you're in that position, I totally understand, hey, I'm going to, kick the calf, or I'm going to kick high. I'm not going to kick mid body level and stuff, but you don't go away from what made you. Even against someone like Castaneda that hey, he can wrestle, yes, but he's got to stop those kicks a certain way. And as long as you're not doing a mid-level, it's a great tool that is something that you're better than a lot of people with. Don't take it away by not using it, on your own, game plan.
Look, Chris is one of those guys. He's a grinder. He's someone that can normally but when you have another guy that's willing to go ahead and get after you as well, it makes it very difficult.
Sure.
And so overall, I mean, like, it was one of those fights that I kind of, when you're watching, you're like, okay, I expected more, but then you're not getting more. So I was kind of like looking around. I was like, this fight should have been a better fight. So Damon Blackshear versus Alatang.
Yeah, look at Damon Blackshear's on a streak.
Yeah.
He's looking good. You think, what did you think of the score with it?
John, I didn't have the sound on, but to me, like I had Damon win in the last round, so I had him winning the fight.
Exactly. I had a 29-28.
Okay.
I thought,
what was the scores? Did they read the scores? I mean, obviously they did, but I didn't hear it.
29-28.
29-28.
Yeah. I think on two of them, maybe one was.
Yeah. I had it 1-1 going into the third.
Yeah.
If I recall, it was 1-1 going to the third. And I thought Blackshear won the last round. He landed the harder, cleaner shots in the third.
Absolutely. But he's really coming in. That's 3 in a row for him. And all good fights. You had the Cody Stamen, he had the Cody Gibson, and I'm going to call Cody Atta Jolly, whatever it is, as far as this, he's doing good. He's getting better. As a fighter, you can see Damon is starting to just be smarter in given situations and not do the things that in the past has caused him problems. Like when he fought Mario Batista, you can look at that and go, that was a fight where he just kept getting taken down and then trying to get up and he's getting controlled. And hey, well, if you're getting controlled, start doing damage, start trying to elbow, start trying to do these things that's going to give you the space to now get up. he's doing those things now. So he's learning as a fighter. You know, even though he's had a lot of fights, he's getting better, and that's what you want to see.
No, I agree. He's one of those guys that he has all the abilities. He just hasn't fully put it together yet.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'll give you an example. Not listening to your coaches. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was one of those things. Like, if you get the takedown, you pretty much know you secured the fight then. And I'm going to stand. No, I'm whatever. You still got the fight.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, those are things that could set you back. Look, the UFC's watching, going like, if you stay on the feet, cool. We love the stand up fight, but you know what? Like, I think they like him, so they want him to win. You know,
I think they like him.
They're done trying to make sure, you know, so and so wins and this and that.
Oh yeah.
But there's certain guys that they still look at and go, hey man, like we could do something with him. You know, he's got a good look. He's marketable. Like, you know, his fights are normally entertaining. He can fight everywhere. Like, you know, he's got good submission wins. He's got stand-up wins. Like, you know,
dude, he had a twister.
Yeah, we got,
and he's only 30 years of age.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of years left.
Wellmaker versus Saaiman.
Dude, Wellmaker's, that kid's good.
Got power.
Oh, you know, at that weight, I mean, that's something that is rare, and he is absolutely just smoking people. And Cameron Saaiman has showed that he's a tough fighter.
Yeah,
he's game. He goes after people, and he just got waylaid with that right hook.
I mean, Saaiman was doing really well in the fight, but you could tell the Wellmaker was just waiting for his opportunity.
Yep.
Let me just see what happens. I don't have to respect your punches or your kicks. You know, I'm just going to check and block, and eventually I'll catch you.
And that, you got to figure that's him coming in, you know, off of the Dana White Contender Series. This is his first UFC fight. He's got a lot to prove. You know, it's against a good opponent, someone that has, you know, some experience in the UFC, is more comfortable there. So you got to give it to him. The kid's still undefeated now. 9-0?
9-0.
Yeah. So he's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, here is Saaiman one of those guys that you basically let him go for a little bit, but you keep an eye on him. You say, hey, go off, get a couple wins. That's 3 losses in a row, John. But then he's 24 years old.
He was 3-0.
Yeah.
You know, in his first 3 fights, and then he's lost his last 3. And so you look, he lost against Christian Rodriguez, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was his first one. Christian Rodriguez is a good fighter. Yeah. He's talented. You know, he's put a couple of losses on a couple of the UFC's up and rising young guys, you know, including Rojas. You know, then he lost to Peyton Talbot, who is another one of those guys that you look at, one of those rising stars, you know, young, you know, out of Reno. But then he had his next fight. He ended up getting a loss. So, I mean, yeah, this is one of those ones I look and say, hey, I'm gonna cut you right now. I want you to go back onto the regional scene. I want you to get a couple of wins, get your confidence back, and we're gonna bring you back. You know, I want you to know that I'm not just putting you out there and that's, you know, you're gone forever. You got to get me a couple wins, but get those wins, get your confidence back, and we're gonna bring you back.
Yeah, I would. That's exactly. He's 24 years old.
Yeah,
give him some time.
Young.
He reminds me a little bit of Chase Hooper, not
Very
in terms
much.
of like grappling or fighting or anything.
No.
Like when Chase Hooper came into the scene, you know, had some good performances, and then all of a sudden, like,
but
you know,
was well out of his. You know, he was like a kid fighting men. Chase Hooper was in that position. He hadn't matured physically. He didn't have the strength compared to other people. He had good technique, you know, and that technique had got him a long ways, you know, in, you know, the fight game and everything, because he had such good technique. But when people have not only the strength and the technique, now it becomes different. And now Chase Hooper is grown into being a man. He's got more strength. He's, you know, that guy that you look at and you go, okay, you're maturing. Well, that's the same thing for Cameron.
Yeah. I would agree. All right, so the next fight,
Jackie
Amorim versus Viana.
Well, I'll let you take over for this one since you are a Jackie fan and you know her well. I just enjoyed watching the fight.
I bet you did. I feel like Dan Mergliotta, he enjoyed it too.
I think Dan enjoyed watching that fight also. That was part of the problem.
Distracted.
Yes.
Jackie, long story. I've told the story before, but her and her ex-husband used to live with me, and they were teaching at my jiu-jitsu gym. And her ex-husband used to help me train for a couple of my fights. And so they used to live with me. They would teach at my gym, the kids program and the adult. Both of them, the two of them were black belts, younger, trying to get their life established here in the States. Anyways, but then she had talked to me about fighting back then, when she was done competing, she's going to win worlds. And when I'm done winning worlds, then I'm going to probably try to move on to fighting. And she eventually did. They moved all the way out to, I think they moved to South Carolina first. And then the two of them actually split up. And then she moved to American Top Team, and he stayed where he was at in South Carolina and kept teaching there. And she went down to the ATT. But man, she is fantastic on the ground. She's got a mean streak in her. I've grappled with her and trained with her. She's nasty on the ground, really nasty. So if she can start to open up though on the ground and pound, her ground and pound looks a little weak. I saw it, from when I saw it today. It looks a little weak, very just unstable. Doesn't know.
115 pounds, Josh.
Yeah, just still, John.
Yeah.
Like with the control, I felt her control. She's good. So I know it's different from gi to no gi, but bottom line is she should be able to get a good enough base. She's got thick legs. Clear my throat.
No, not really.
She's got thick legs. She's
not really
got good base, but she can put down the power if she needs to. Yeah. Polyana Viana, she had no answer, man. Viana had no answer for the wrestling. She had no answer for the control and the grappling. None of those things. And Jackie's going to be something to deal with. She's got to get a little bit more comfortable on the feet, and she's got to do a better job of ground and pounding. She needs to take a page out of Mackenzie Dern. When it comes to the grappling, let them move, punch them into their positions for the grappling.
Yeah.
But Jacqueline's got better wrestling than Mackenzie Dern. She's a lot better at getting to the legs, at least in closing that distance, than Mackenzie Dern. But bottom line,
they're eventually going to match up.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting. I mean, that would be a fun fight.
It would be.
I mean, I would give the edge right now to Mackenzie Dern because of the stand-up.
Yeah.
And they might nullify each other on the ground.
Yeah.
But you know what fight? And obviously because she's a strawweight, it would happen. But, yeah. Right? One, yeah. But her and Verna, Jandaroba.
Yeah.
That would because not like you have to be worried about Jandaroba's stand-up.
No.
It's non-existent. But
it's actually not bad now.
No.
It gets her where she needs to go.
No, but it would be fun to watch the two of them fight.
Yeah.
But I know Jandaroba's next in line for the title shot.
You got to figure that, Jacqueline lost her first UFC fight against Sam Hughes.
Yeah.
Because she got tired.
Yeah.
If you remember.
I do.
It was, she won the first round and then she started getting tired and she ended up on the bottom and then she lost the next 2 rounds and lost the decision. And you look and you go, the UFC was smart enough to say, okay, we understand where you're going to be at, but you're not quite there.
Yeah.
So instead of cutting you, we're going to give you a couple people that we think that, are going to start to get you in the right direction. I think they've done a really good job with their matchmaking. And I thought Polyana Viana, being the person that is now in that position, has had some good fights. And I think Jacqueline is showing she has progressed as a fighter, and she's getting up there. I don't think she's ready for Jandaroba right now. But she's getting there, and she's going to be fun to watch. And I think eventually she's going to end up with a fight against Jandaroba. She's going to end up with a fight against Mackenzie Dern, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens because I do think they cancel each other out on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking here, you've got. Let me see here. Yeah, I mean, got to be honest though, John. I'm looking at this too. I don't really see somebody in the top 15 I would put her against yet.
No. Not right now, but that's what the UFC's matchmaking has done.
Yeah,
they've been smart with her
because Tisha Pennington would be too much movement for her.
She's young.
Yeah, she is still kind of young. Yeah. Tisha Pennington's a little bit too movement for her, too fast with the striking,
too much trouble with the striking. Right
Angela Hill, too much experience, long, hard, too difficult to take down. Jillian Robertson, Lupi Godinez.
See, now Jillian Robertson would be an interesting fight.
It would be. It would be
a good one because Jillian's good on the ground.
Loopy is too much.
Godinez.
Tabac too much. Marina Rodriguez too much. Yeah, she's got some work cut out for her.
Sure.
She does.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Amanda Hebus probably too much. You know, Amanda's not great on the ground, but she's good enough, I think, probably to at least get back up to her feet, or at least the wrestling is enough to probably stop her. Then you get to Mackenzie Dern and then Amanda Lemos and then on Jessica Andrade. That's just way too much. But yeah, in that top 15, I'd hold her off. You know, she's got to get better on the feet. Yeah. She's got to learn how to close that distance. She's good at getting in there on the legs and finishing, but against good fighters that can throw some good shots, some striking, it's going to be very difficult. Yeah. Next fight, John.
I did not see it. I started off with Jacqueline.
Okay.
Did not see Timmy against Roberto. I was gone.
Yeah, so this was a great fight. So this is this was a great fight.
Damn it.
They were throwing down. Cuamba was freaking awesome. Romero was taking shots and delivering shots, he was kind of walking him down, trying to get after him. Couldn't get to him, and Cuamba just beautifully threw the time knee up the middle and clip. Oh, got him.
Done.
Just got him. But I mean, it was John. This was a back and forth battle. Cuamba was definitely winning the fight, but it was a back and forth battle. But it was a fun fight, man. It was a really good fight. So if you had a chance to watch it, I'd go back and watch it. And in all fairness, I missed the very first fight. So I missed the Johnston Edwards and Chelsea Chandler. My son didn't get done with his game until after, so I got home and turned it on.
Yeah, I was chasing a pig.
The pork, baby, the pork. Hey guys, that's gonna wrap up our UFC Fight Night talk or UFC talk. And before we move on, though, we'll go to betustv.com. Betustv.com. I want to thank you guys. I know that we had a lot of people that threw down some. We did some giveaways. I was gonna do giveaways. I had several people hit me up in their DMs showing me their fight picks to try to put together a parlay. And as of before, right before I watched the co-main event, no one had got it yet. People had lost. And so I'm going to go back and check later on. But I had I'd say about 14 people send me over some stuff, basically saying, hey, man, I remember the giveaway. So, we were giving away a box of Element and probably like some sort of signed paraphernalia with it. Paraphernalia. So, but
your idea of paraphernalia and memorabilia.
Same thing, right?
That's a little bit okay.
It's the same thing. I can sign that too. I'm doing this. I just signed a card deal with this company, so I got to sign like 2,500 signatures.
Oh, I've done that. 5,000 cards. Yeah. That's fun.
I did the Tops one a while back, and that was like I think it was like 5,000.
5,000.
And then I did another one before that with some other company. I've done Tops a couple times, but I did one before. Like one of my first ones was like, I want to say it was 10,000. The very first one I did was when I was with Strike Force and I was the champ there, and they signed me to this thing, and I think I had to do like 10,000.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah, okay, tell me, is that not like being in school and you do something and the teacher wants you to write up on the chalkboard? I will not.
John, do I look like someone that ever got in trouble in school?
Yes, you do. You look just like
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, are you kidding me? I got nothing but trouble all the time.
Oh, I can tell. Oh yeah, we can tell. No, I think I'd kind of, my age didn't really have to do that. I think that was your 70s and age category. Yeah. Before we move on, though, I want to thank you guys so much for continuing support. I did a live show yesterday. It went across all platforms, and one of those platforms is OnlyFans. We take fan questions from OnlyFans as well, and we actually did a live show talking about that. And we also did another one last week where we on Tuesday, we took questions from OnlyFans. We answered them on our Tuesday Night Live as well. And so if you guys have fan questions, drop them over there on our OnlyFans channel. It is free. Okay. And look, if you only follow us and other athletes, you will not see any of the other smut or anything else on there. So we want to thank you guys for supporting us over there. We've got a pretty significant following on that platform over there. So I'm kind of encouraged by that. You guys, other fighters are on there. Demetrius Johnson, Chris Cyborg. I always say this to you guys. So if you guys are just wondering if it's just us over there, and I want to remind people, we were the very first podcast that ever partnered with them. And it's turned out to be a great relationship. We've been with them for 2 years now. And we've had no issues, no problems with them. And everyone keeps talking about, oh, well, don't you see this and don't you see that? No, I don't see any of that stuff because
don't see anything that you don't want to see.
Doesn't follow any of that. And so it looks like they've pretty much created like almost a whole sports community. You got pro surfers, you got Formula One racers, you've got skateboarders. You've got tons of MMA fighters that are on there and athletes that are on there. So I know you've got other people on there as well, but you guys want to research them, you guys can. But like I said, you will not find any other smut on your page or on your homepage because their algorithm doesn't work that way. If you follow all of us, all you will see is what we post. So I've got like tons of Anthony Pettis stuff on there. I've got tons of Chris Cyborg stuff because they're always on there posting their stuff. They're always marketing their his fight. What is it called? APCC, I think is his Anthony Pettis Championship. So he's got his promotion. It's on there. It's always on there. Chris Cyborg always talking about what she's doing next and talking about potential fight with Clarissa Shields and all that stuff. So she's always on there. DJ's always on there.
Don't want that fight.
Yeah, she does.
Not in MMA. She don't.
No. Chris Cyborg.
Yeah,
she wants that fight.
Not in MMA.
No, in MMA
Clarissa?
she wants it. You're saying Clarissa. You said Chris.
Clarissa.
Oh, you said Chris though, John.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why you had me confused.
Chris wants that fight.
Yeah, Chris wants that fight.
Clarissa wants a boxing match.
Yeah,
she also weighs way more than what Cyborg does. And you look and you go, Chris is not stupid enough to box Clarissa. No,
she is. That's the fight she's promoting.
As a boxing?
Yes, she wants to box her. She doesn't want an MMA fighter. She wants to box her.
That's not a real smart move.
Whatever, John. She wants to get
I'd like
paid.
to see it.
She's almost what? She is 40 or almost 40. She wants to get that one last check.
That's good.
I mean, I don't know how much they're going to really make, but I mean, I'd like to see that fight. Not a lot of people
I don't know. Amanda Serrano's made a lot of money.
Amanda Serrano's likable.
Do it.
Clarissa Shields is not.
That is okay.
Clarissa Shields is not a likable fighter.
Wow.
Sorry, John. I mean,
I'm saying that about the GWOAT.
the GWOATs.
I hate that term.
God, it's such a dumb term.
It's horrible.
Such a dumb term.
It's dumb.
Oh man. Anyways, yeah. So if you guys, anyways, follow us over there. It is free. No subscription based on that. But we want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. And also, hit it up, man. So look, you guys have seen me kind of yawning tonight because I was at lacrosse all day for my son's. They had their tournament today. Anyways, exactly. I like to drink about a half a can of this. This is their sparkling. I drink a half a can of this before I go to bed. And as you can tell, I start to get sleepy and I get I get a really good night's sleep with this. And I've also noticed that now with summer, I'm sweating a lot more like I was today. Oh. And this keeps me hydrated. John's about to feel the heat in Tennessee while he's farming.
Oh, no, not about to.
Yeah, you're feeling it already?
Oh, dude, I got crushed.
It hasn't been too bad today. Like these last couple of days, it's been raining a lot here, so it's been a little bit more humid. So the rain's been kicking in, but I think it's about to start getting there. Yeah, we're in the 78s and 82s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I walked in that because I did a bunch of stuff around the pig pens and a lot of weed whacking because I use electric fences, as you know. And I can't have all the weeds going up on it because that affects the electric fence. So I got to cut it all down. So I did all kinds of stuff today around all the pens and the things. And I walked in, and I had just like weeds everywhere, all over me, anyways. So I walked in, taking my stuff off, kind of, and Miss McCarthy said, "Whoa!" So it was not only the weeds; it was the stink of me.
Yeah.
But I drank 3 elements during that time, and I felt actually pretty good. I never stopped. So
yeah, it keeps you definitely when you're working out. It keeps you hydrated. I'll drink a little bit before I work out. I'll drink, probably the other 3/4 after the workout. They also come in packets. Those are a little bit easier to carry around than the cans. As long as you got a bottle of water, you can put them in there. Sometimes if you want to make your own sparkling, I'll buy some Topo Chico, and then I'll empty half of the Topo Chico, and then I'll put put my packet in there.
I have some Topo Chico.
Just be careful because
I put some element with some Cholula.
Yeah, so it fuzzes up a little bit and it starts to, basically kind of overflow. So you got to be very cautious and careful when you put it in. But overall, man, great product. Love the product.
Like putting a Mento in a Coke.
Yeah, it's not quite that bad, but it gets there. It does get there. George had popped up some information for us, and I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that up. So as we get moving on this, let's go ahead and talk. There were some fight announcements. And so we're going to work right into this fight announcement, John. There was several fight announcements, but let's go. Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway, and Usman, and then Usman versus Buckley.
Yeah, and I like both of them.
Do you like both of them?
I do.
Why do you think that they decided on this Max Holloway and Dustin fight a third time, knowing that Dustin's won the first two?
Okay. The reason why, there's this title called the BMF.
Mm-hmm.
And Max holds that title because he had that incredible knockout of Justin Gaethje in the last second that was from UFC 300. And it was just a remarkable performance overall, a remarkable moment. And if you're going to take a look and be honest about, okay, I can take Dustin Poirier and put him back against Justin Gaethje, and what does that do for me? They both have a win, so it's a great trilogy. I love it. But I don't want Dustin beating Justin. I really don't, because Justin's going to stay with me, and Dustin has said this is his last fight. Okay? I've got Max Holloway sitting there at now 155. Yes, he has had 2 fights against Dustin, but he is the guy that holds the title. And I want to have an introduction for him as far as he had the fight against Justin at 155. This is him now officially coming to 155 for good, because he went back and he fought Ilia Topuria at 145. That one didn't work out. But with the title on the line, it's a great story either way. If Dustin wins, he walks away with this title because he had an interim title with the UFC, but he never had the undisputed. It would be undisputed as the BMF. It's a perfect title for a guy that's had the fights that he's had. And so you look and you go, it'd be great. And then we can open it up we can take that title since he's retired, and I can put it back in there wherever I want in the mix. So it works for me perfectly. I love it. If Max wins, awesome. I have my title at 155. I have Ilia Topuria, who's going to be taking on my champion in Islam. I can take that title at 155, and I can pick somebody out in there that I can have Max fight before he ends up moving himself into position to fight possibly Islam if Islam stays, or Ilia if Ilia wins.
Here's my kind of take on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Is that I think that they feel like the BMF thing has kind of run its course, and that if Dustin does win, it can just disappear.
Okay. Could be.
And that's kind of like, hey, Dustin, to honor Dustin, if he does get the win, we're just going to hang it with you, and it's done. Out of respect for you, and out of, you've got the 2 wins over 3, and it'll be 3 if you do win the BMF, and they can kind of wash their hands of the BMF title.
Yeah.
It's ran its course. We're done with it, and Dustin can actually walk away with the title. It's a title. It really is. And I get it. It's ran its course though. And I always looked at him as being you're the interim champion, and maybe people don't look at that, but man, dude, you've done so much. I'm not going to take it from that guy. Come on, man. That guy's he's been a trooper, a company man. He's done everything right. He's always spoke, very respectfully for, about a lot of his opponents, and even the ones he didn't like, he ended up coming around to a little bit. Not all of them, but some of them.
Not all,
but some. But I mean, bottom line is he's a fantastic person. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. That's my take on why they matched him up. But why not? And he even talked about it. What's your idea though? Why not Ilia Topuria? Because he asked for it. He said, "I'll take Ilia and I'll take Justin." He actually wanted the Justin fight.
Yeah,
I understand why the Justin, but why not the Ilia?
Real simple. What did they tell Ilia?
Title shot.
Give up the 145, and we'll give you the title shot. So he sets the title down, and he gets the title shot. So then I can't put him against Dustin because it's not a title shot. So that kind of takes that one away. So the real question is picking Max over the trilogy with Justin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if Ilia does fight Islam next, I think Justin's going to be next. I think Justin will wait to fight Islam, or the winner, which I think is going to be Islam over Ilia anyways. But I think what you're going to do is you're going to wait for that fight to happen. I think Justin's just going to sit on the sideline, wait, take that title shot. Whoever wins out of Islam and Ilia, take that title shot. And if he wins, he'll stay around. If he loses, I think he'll probably start to make his way out as well.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, and then what about the Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman fight?
That one's a little bit different. That one's I look at that and it's like, and here they go again. It's funny because you just had the podcast that Kamaru and Henry Cejudo do, and they had Kamaru's been
pound, I think is what it is.
Yeah, Kamaru's been working out with Izzy Adesanya, and they were all sitting there talking about things and talking about how similar all been champions, and Henry came with you, and we're all 0-3 in our last 3 fights. And you look and you go, oh, that hurt. Ow. And now take a look. And this is what when we say this stuff, Josh, and people say, oh, you don't know what you. Take a look at that group. Take a look at those 3 guys. Take a look at what they've accomplished in the sport. And now take a look at where they are in their career at this point, at this age, and look at what's happening. This is what happens. And it's tough, and and this is what, when I say this is what happens, all 3 of them have the 3 losses, but those 3 losses are to really good competition. Okay, you can take a look at Kamaru Usman's losses. Well, they're to Leon Edwards and they are to Chimaev. Okay, not bad competition. It's not like you're fighting the lower level guys. You have 3 losses, but your 3 losses are to people that are champions or gonna be champions in in a weight class at some point. Then you can take a look at Henry. Same thing. Take a look at his losses. You come back, Aljamain Sterling, Merab, right? The one against Yadong Song. Okay, that could be your one exception because of the eye injury and stuff, but still took on studs. And the thing. Take a look at Izzy and look at who he has lost to. So you look and you go, this is what happens. Now, what is the UFC doing? Where's Joaquin Buckley at? He's on the rise. Yeah. He's hot right now. He's in that moment in his career, and he's, how old? 31?
Yeah, I think he's still young.
Yes. And that, and so super strong, super fast, got power. And I love Kamaru as a fighter, but Kamaru is now limited based upon he's got some injuries, he's got some knee problems, things like that. Still a great fighter, but what are they doing? They're trying to promote and get Joaquin Buckley up to that point. They can put him in that title fight, and it makes sense because if he beats Kamaru Usman, he just beat the guy that was once the pound for pound best fighter in the world. He's beat the guy that was the longtime welterweight champion. And, they want that highlight.
Yeah, he's 31 years old.
See, that's what I'm saying.
He's explosive.
And Kamaru is 39?
And Kamaru, I think, is probably around that age.
Yeah.
37.
Okay.
37. I mean, look, it's a tough fight. Tough fight for Kamaru Usman. Joaquin Buckley does lack that area of ability to stop a lot of takedowns. He's more explosive. He's got good takedown defense. Can he stop Kamaru Usman's takedowns?
I'm going to say, could he stop Kamaru Usman's takedowns when Kamaru was coming up? No. Could he stop Kamaru Usman's takedowns now? Good possibility.
Kamaru Usman was able to take down Chimaev. And John, he was able to take down in the 3rd round. Didn't he take him down in the 3rd?
Did he take him down, or was it, fatigue?
I
know he was on him.
John, I don't give a shit.
Well, I'm going off of.
I believe he took him down in the 3rd.
Did he?
Yeah, I believe so. And then, look, okay, I'm trying to remember if he did. Okay, maybe he did. But if not, regardless, let's say like with Leon Edwards, he's not the easiest guy to take down either.
No, he's not.
And that was literally just 2 fights ago.
True.
So, I mean, he had success taking Leon out. He also got taken down by Leon. But bottom line is, I mean, I look at Kamaru Usman. He's saying no, the knees are obviously they're banged up from wrestling, but he said no, they're good. I can wrestle. Okay. Obviously we don't want to wrestle at that age. It's rough on the body. But Buckley right now is finding his stride. He's explosive on the feet, good takedown defense. He will probably shoot a takedown or two because Kamaru Usman is not the same fighter on the bottom as he is on the top.
True.
That's normally the tendency with really good wrestlers. You put Colby Covington on his back, he's like, he's not anywhere near as good as he is on the top. Usman is a different animal on top than he is on the bottom.
Sure.
On the feet, though, I'm going to give it to Buckley. I think Kamaru's got good defense. He's got great power, but the speed was going to be a huge factor. Huge factor.
I agree.
And the way the part he swings, caution the wind, just fucking throws haymakers and big shots.
Yeah.
Oof. So if I'm the betting lines, I'm thinking that Buckley's probably the favorite.
I think Buckley
just based off the experience. But what do you think those betting lines would be? Like a plus 200, a plus 175?
Yeah, I think you're going to see Buckley over a plus 200.
Over a plus 200.
Yeah, and that's again, I'm not saying that out of disrespect. I love Kamaru Usman, but when you're coming off of 3 losses, even though it's to great competition, they're just going to look at it and go, it's in the back of your head. You're on, you're now in that, decline. And the one thing that really kind of, we talked to Kamaru. And he talked about, look, I want fights. I want legend fights. Is this
well, that goes to my next question. Why is he taking this fight?
Okay, that's my question too. Why is he taking this one? Because it's one of those. Look, Joaquin Buckley's had a great run in the UFC, so I understand. Look, you look at him, you go, hey, he's a good fighter. But he's not that legend fighter. You're not getting that fight that you go, okay, I understand why you want to fight him. There's not that status there yet. So I'm he's a dangerous opponent, no doubt about it. So I think right now, Buckley is ranked somewhere around 6, Kamaru somewhere around 3 or 4. So it's one of those you can look and go, he's fighting someone down. Does that help him? Nothing's helping him here. Is he going to get back to being able to be in championship form, or does he even want to fight for the title again? I don't know.
I'm just surprised that he didn't go, hey, Sean Brady, what's up?
Something like that.
Sean being ranked number 1, Shavkat number 2. They've already promised, Shavkat the next title shot. I don't know if that's going to come to fruition after Brady had such a great performance. Usman at number 4. Jack Della Madalena's already fighting for the title right now. Then Ian Garry just won, but Buckley and I'm surprised that he took the Buckley fight.
Yeah,
it just kind of threw me off because, like you said,
excuse me,
I've been there. In that situation where you're looking for the fights that motivate you towards the end of your career. I want these guys. I want the best fights I can get that motivate me to get me up.
Yep.
I didn't see this coming. So, I'm not mad at the fight at all. I just didn't see this fight coming. It wasn't in my peripheral. It wasn't in my vision there where I thought this is the fight. If it was going to be anything, it would have been possibly the Shavkat or possibly the Sean Brady. And the only reason why I was against so much the Shavkat is because they train at the same gym at Killcliff, And so I was like, I'm sure they've trained together. I don't think they interact that much, to be honest. But I thought for sure the Sean Brady one would be like, you know what? Hey, let me go ahead and fight Sean Brady. That puts me right back into that title contention. I could try to get it again. But nope.
I agree.
Nope. I overall in both these fights, I'm respecting of both of them. I'm excited for both of them. And we're going to see how that all plays out. But then there was one other fight announcement, which should not be considered really a fight announcement. I believe it was Eddie Hearn basically talking on a mic, talking about what's the poodle haired kid again?
Jake Paul.
So Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis were supposed to schedule the fight in November, I think is what he said. So I guess Paul or Davis got to get past whatever their next fight is. And after that fight, they're going to fight each other sometime in November. Does that make any fucking sense to you?
No.
But you say that, but then let's not forget a 51-year-old Floyd Mayweather fought Logan Paul, who's bigger than Jake Paul.
But there's a difference between a 51-year-old that is in a position where, you could sit there and say, well, he's got to protect his record and stuff. It's an exhibition, so there's no judges. So you can't lose unless you get knocked out. And let's be honest. Floyd is defensively gifted. He's not going to get knocked out by Logan. So, it was actually the smaller fighter in Floyd is coming forward with his hands up high, walking down Logan Paul. Gervonta Davis is a current champion. He is a current fighter who is considered the best in the world in his weight class. He's taken on, other great fighters and like Ryan Garcia and had some spectacular performances. So is a world champion going to do an exhibition? Because it's the only way that fight can happen based upon their sizes. Because Jake Paul's about twice the size of Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
Obviously Gervonta's not going to have to lose weight, so he's going to be somewhere in the 150-pound mark.
You think he'd be that small?
Oh, he'll be 155. Yeah.
I was thinking like 170, closer to 168, 170.
Dude, he's
I know he's
fighting.
tiny, John.
I know
he's tiny, but I thought like
guy.
maybe I don't know. I thought maybe he put some weight on during the off season. I don't know. I thought maybe he was a Patty Pimblett during the off season.
No. Patty is a specialty unto himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand.
Patty can plump up even more than me.
Well, did you see that video of him talking about how, like, in the States, I put on way more weight because the food here has got so much fucking crap in it? He's like, look, when I eat food here, he's like, I don't know what it is. He's like, my face blows up, my body blows up. He's like, I've never been 198. He was a couple days removed from his fight, and he's still in the States. He got back. He's like, I'm 198. Yeah. He's like, he's like in the UK. He's like, don't get me wrong, I balloon up too there. He's like, but for some reason, I could eat the same exact stuff in both places. He's like, and I balloon up so much more in the States from all the sodium and all the other shit they put in our food. Yeah, interesting, huh? So you're basically saying that Eddie Hearn just slipped. Mess up.
I think Eddie Hearn was given some information, and it doesn't mean that information is going to come to fruition.
Yeah. John, did you get a chance? We're going to talk now about some other fights that kind of happened tonight, but one of them was the Eddie Hall fight over Pujanowski. Did you get a chance to watch that video?
I did. I watched it. I actually was, keeping up because, that was done at KSW. And so I knew about the time that fight would be going on. So I was, keeping refreshed on, when that fight took place and saw it right away. And look, this is, one of those. Eddie Hall is not what people think. First off, yes, he was the world's strongest man. So was Pujanowski.
Is he the one that played the Mountain in in Game of Thrones?
No.
Who was that?
That's Bjorn Halforth.
Okay. I don't know his name.
He's from Iceland. Eddie Hall is they're kind of rivals.
You're into all this like strongest man bullshit and
dude, I'm fascinated by all of them and stuff. And no, look at Eddie Hall boxed, Halforth, because Halforth started boxing. He boxed, a guy named Devin Lorette, who is a champion arm wrestler, and he started doing these whole boxing things. And he kind of cut himself down. The Mountain is, 6'9", and he was 400 and some pounds. Cut himself down to like 320.
Jeez.
Which was a lot, for him. Eddie is 6'3", and Eddie probably weighs. Well, I know he weighs 26 stone, but you get what that.
No idea.
That's about 350 pounds.
Jeez, man, 26 stones.
Yeah, so he's in that position. Eddie is he's a good athlete, and he does train. So he had a pro boxing match against Halforth, and he lost that. But Halforth's actually not a bad boxer. He actually, throws a good jab. Keeps people on the outside. He's 6'9".
When you're built like that, it all looks like shit, John. Like nothing comes out straight. Their arms don't even go straight when they fucking. Dude, it's like their arms are
when you're built like Eddie. But I'm telling you, Halforth actually throws pretty good. Okay. And so
I'll take your word for it.
Eddie's actually done training with Tom Aspinall.
Okay.
He was training with Tom Aspinall, trying to learn, MMA. He's done grappling things with people like Gordon.
Who's the one that did the thing with Conor McGregor? Like all the moving around.
That was the Mountain. That was Halforth.
Okay.
Bjorn. And so you take a look and say, Pujanowski has been fighting for KSW for years. I remember I was in Japan with Pujanowski, and they were wanting him to fight, and he was a good guy, really nice guy, but it was like, you need to train in this. Don't think that you're just going to muscle guys. It's not going to happen. And they were talking about at the time, Fujita. Remember Fujita?
Yes, I do.
And I was like, you don't want to fight him.
Fujita's the only one that ever rocked Fedor, really, outside of when we was in Pride.
Yeah.
Very
Pride.
First, he clipped Fedor.
Oh yeah. Fedor was doing the monkey dance.
Stanky leg.
Yes, he was. But you look at Eddie Hall and you go, hey, first off, he's actually a good athlete. It's not like he's a shit athlete. Mm-hmm. He's got fast movement. He's smart. He's got good body control, and he is fucking strong as a gorilla. Okay, this is a guy that actually fucking deadlifted over 1,000 pounds. Jesus. Okay, so his only pro MMA fight was against I don't know, two influencers, the Nafari brothers or something like that, who are both, both of them combined didn't weigh what Eddie weighed. So he knocked
the Island Boys.
No, it wasn't the Island Boys.
The Island Boys get their ass whooped.
Dude, those guys are really small.
They're weird, dude.
Oh, dude.
I saw the new shit. Someone just sent me something like the other day about them. Like, I guess apparently they're making out with each other now for money.
Oh, Jesus!
On OnlyFans.
Stop.
No, I'm just being like
Okay, I don't want to know.
What the hell, John?
This is why I don't have that algorithm going
with our OnlyFans. We don't subscribe to any of that stuff on our OnlyFans. So if you guys come to our channel, you'll be good to go.
This fight with Mariusz Pudzianowski against Eddie Hall was considered the world's strongest man against the world's strongest man. But you looked and you said, well, Pudzianowski's older, and he's smaller, but he's got quite a few MMA fights, and he fought your friend. What's your friend that was from Poland?
Michael Maturla.
Maturla. He beat Maturla.
Yeah.
So Pudzianowski wasn't bad, but
Michael was also older. If Michael was a little bit younger, he would have whooped him.
But when you watch the fight, Eddie Hall went to the UFC. I know, and all the records like you had Francis and then Alex and. Eddie fucking hit their thing and fucking beat them all. And it's because look, he's that big and heavy and powerful. So he hit Pudzianowski with a double right, and the second one hurt Pudzianowski and kind of put him back a little bit. He was a little bit wild. He did have some illegal strikes in there, but he got the job done. He threw Pudzianowski around off of it. It was 28 seconds total, and the fight was over. And you look and you go, hey. You got to hand it to Eddie Hall. He took it serious. He went in there, not the cleanest of wins, but he got the win.
So apparently, the co-owner Martin Lewandowski, of the KSW, says, "I'm in touch with the guys from the PFL, so definitely we can talk about this kind of match." He was talking about he wants to have Pudzianowski or Hall fight Francis Ngannou. Says if they would be willing to share the fighter. No problem. I'm interested to do that. Definitely.
Yeah. Look, there's not a doubt in my mind Eddie Hall would take that fight. He's that kind of guy. Dude, he doesn't give a shit. It's competition. He loves competition and he wants to prove that he can do it. Do I think it's a good thing for him to fight Francis? No, he doesn't have the skill set yet. But he could bum rush Francis and possibly, get him to the ground, but I wouldn't be betting on Eddie.
No, I wouldn't bet on Eddie either. I watched this fight tonight, John. I wouldn't bet on anything on him. Like it really just was. It was one of those fights where two guys that are so big, right, muscular, big, that like everything they do, they can't throw anything straight. It just always looks loopy.
Yeah,
okay? Like these guys are so big, John. Like that they probably have to like put one foot up on the toilet seat just to fucking look at the mirror. And just trying to wipe their ass because they can't see there because their arms are bent. There's so much muscle. Like when you have so much muscle, you can't touch your own shoulders. My elbow's fucked up. So that's why I can't touch the shoulder on this side, but I can on this side. I've had several surgeries on this side. But this side I can. Okay. Bottom line is these guys have so much muscle. Yep. They can't even wipe their own ass. They got to look in the mirror. I mean, they're enormous, John. Enormous.
Eddie Hall is huge.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
He's a gorilla.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're gonna basically wrap it up on this talk right now. What was the talk that I was gonna show you? The talk from Chael Sonnen. let me go ahead and play this for you,
Uh-oh.
Mr. Chael.
Justin Gaethje is going to be fighting Islam. That's what I'm told. I have a hard time believing that. I have a really hard time believing that. But it also involves Ali, who might as well be a magician. Ali can pull magic out of the hat like no other manager in this industry, so I cannot discount it.
Oh, I think that was it. I think that was it.
I think the one part that the Chael is not relaying in that is that Ali is the manager for both. He is the manager for Justin Gaethje, and he's the manager for Islam.
Yeah. I think what it is, though, is that Justin might be looking kind of for his way out, and he wants to have that one last crack. Does he want to wait until after the Ilya fight? Does he want to fight Islam? If Ilya does win, I think that the Ilya fight is a lot better fight for him. I'm not saying it's going to go better. I'm just saying it's a better matchup for him stylistically than to fight Islam.
Yeah, I agree.
But then I think there's also that if you're Justin, you would like to fight the guy that just the lineage. If you can beat Islam, jeez, man, like just knowing that, he's from the Habib camp, he's from, all these things. He's the longest reigning lightweight champion. He's had the most title defenses in the weight class, like all of those things. It's important. And that fighters like Justin, I think they strive for that type of stuff, not to fight the new guy who just won the title. They want to fight the bigger name.
Oh, he wants to fight the big kahuna.
Yeah.
No doubt about
it. The Ilya fight does interest me, though. I'd love to see that fight.
But I think either way, Justin will be absolutely fine in that he'll look and he said, look, the big kahuna is Islam with the legacy that goes with it, based upon he is the guy that has defended the title more in the lightweight division than anyone else since that title was owned by Jens Pulver. So that's a big thing. But I also think he looks and goes, but I'd like to get a crack at putting a mark on that undefeated record of Ilia Topuria. So I think he wins either way.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Before we wrap up, I want to end it on a positive note. And I know that last fight that last conversation was positive as well. But something that was kind of spectacular, I think, over the weekend was Dustin Poirier was able to announce at the NFL draft who his Saints drafted. And I know I've had some beef with Mr. Ariel Helwani, but he was also able to do it for his Buffalo Bills. Okay. And so I want to give them an applaud. That's big stuff. I mean, that's huge, man. That's huge.
That's great.
Be able to announce your team's draft pick. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So I got to be honest, I'm a little jealous.
You're a little jealous. You wanted to do it for Kansas City
for the longest time in the world, and I'm a little bit jealous. Yeah, I am. To be honest,
I was surprised that they did not, bring me out for the saying of the Titans' #1 pick.
What are you talking about, John? You were a fucking Raiders fan before, and a Rams fan before that. What?
Hey,
what? You are a fair weather fan.
Fair weathered.
Are you? What team are you now? You're Tennessee Titans.
No, I'm nobody.
You changed so much.
Dude, bandwagon jumper. Boom, boom,
jeez,
boom,
man.
boom. No.
That's ridiculous, John. Don't you get embarrassed telling people like that you're not, like you don't have a team, but you do have a team, it just changes every year?
No, because my team didn't change. I was a Raider fan forever.
Yeah.
And when the Raiders left LA because of the way he did it, I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to do it.
And then you became a Rams fan, right?
Well, I was a Rams fan growing up, but I still love the Raiders.
But the Rams left to St. Louis.
Well, hold on. That's when I said, okay, I'm done with you. Okay, so there was 2.
But now they're back.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
No, you're done? You're like, screw you.
So that was the end. That was when I don't have a team. I actually then, I would start rooting for teams of players that, I met and did something with. So I would root for them until they left, and then they were no longer the team I'd root for.
Did you when they were? But then, so you didn't follow the Raiders again when they were in Vegas? Because weren't you in Vegas when they were there?
No.
Oh no, you were in Tennessee already.
They were coming. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Tennessee had the #1 draft pick, right? So you guys took Cam Ward.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they did.
I'm happy for that young man.
Oh, That young man he's got his shit together. He's doing
Hope
good.
so. Yeah.
Look, he's in a tough situation.
He is.
Yeah. You take a look at the team and the coaching and everything, and it's like, yeah, it's not going to be easy.
No, it definitely will not be easy.
Nope.
We'll see what happens. But hey, we're going to leave you guys with that. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. It is almost 2 hours. And I want to hopefully you guys enjoy the show. Hey, make sure you guys join our membership program through our YouTube channel. We have that as well. We have a $4.99 membership, which I'm going to go through my DMs and check. So we were doing a giveaway. If you were able to pick a parlay, most of them marked up the whole card. And so
that's not
great. So that's kind of like cheating.
Yeah, that's not kind of like cheating.
Yeah,
that is cheating.
That is cheating. I said to pick a parlay on this, and if you guys pick the proper parlay, then I would go ahead and do it. But I know that most of my members had basically sent. So we had I think 4 of them were members, and the other 10 or whatever were not members. But you know what? Like if you guys got there, I'm gonna go ahead and get you guys off something. So just do the best we can on this situation. We'll try to be a little bit more. I'll try to clarify it a little bit better for next time. But I want to thank you guys just for participating in it, and I'll get you guys off some of that drink element. If you guys hit it, if you guys hit a good part, I'm gonna have to say the parlay would have to be like a 3 or more, a 5, 5 or more. So anyways, we'll get in it. I'll take a look at them. We'll go from there. But I'm excited to go ahead and send off some free drink element. You guys check it out. Use our link down below in the descriptions. They give you a bonus package with every purchase. So if you guys like the product and we want to get more of it, you guys purchase something from our link down below. They will send you a whole nother bonus package of free, with your purchase, with every purchase actually. And you guys can revisit that link at any moment, at any time. And that offer will always stand as long as you guys continue to listen to our podcast and use that link. So everything else, man, it's been great. BetUSTV.com. Go ahead and you guys use their platform. Go there. They have all the sports stuff. They got all the bets available as well. But you guys go to BetUSTV.com. Check out all their sports content. And last but not least, visit us over on OnlyFans. Subscribe to us over there. And thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. John, take us away, bud.
For everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed the fight. We will see you.